prices are on the rise, hitting Americans where it hurts.
It threatens U.S. and global interests quite a bit.
As global affairs cause economic problems at home. Higher education costs continue to grow.
Typically for me, I don't get financial aid.
As students find ways to keep up in this current economy. Economic confusion in the heart of Cuba.
The Cuban state economy is no longer able to provide for its people.
As Cubans get back to business with good old capitalism. And South Florida gets ready for some messy magic.
I think you always want to bring the greatest players.
As Inter Miami lines up for their first game with the GOAT. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Hawa Izel.
I'm Leanne Abutarbush. Today is Friday, June 21st, 2023.
Live from the Lee Caplin School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
Another hot morning in South Florida as temperatures settle in for the day, so make sure to stay cool this weekend as a heat advisory continues with no end in sight.
We begin this morning with a look at the first forecast.
Caplin's Chris Gomez brings us up to date with how things are shaping up in light of the recent heat advisory.
Hey there, good morning. I'm Caplin News' Christopher Gomez here with a check of your forecast. I want to start off right now as we are tracking the tropics right here. This is courtesy of the National Weather Service. You can see we have Tropical Storm Dawn over here. It's basically just meandering out here in the Atlantic. We do have a system over here that has about a 30-40% chance of development. We'll keep an eye on that. Right now here in South Florida, we are under excessive heat warning. We've been under a heat advisory since actually July 4th. And the reason for that is that the National Weather Service has changed their criteria for what it means to be under an excessive heat warning. Those high temperatures really going to be a problem for all of us down here in South Florida. Across the country, same old thing, right? We're in the middle of summer, kicking up those temperatures. We do have some Saharan dust that's moving over down here in the southeast. It's going to keep us dry later on into next week, and you'll see that here just in a moment in our 7-day forecast. We are having some storms later on today and into tomorrow, and this is so much longer than I thought it was going to be.
From hot weather to a hot topic in South Florida, fans are going crazy for Messi's move to Miami.
As Caplin's Tanya Jimenez reports, they are showing love every way they can ahead of tonight's first game with number 10 on the pitch. Tanya is live at Drive Pink Stadium in Fort Lauderdale.
Behind me, Drive Pink Stadium is preparing for Messi's debut, the highly anticipated beginning of South Florida's Messi Mania. Messi Mania has taken over Miami. While walking through Wynwood, a Miami neighborhood dedicated to art, running into Messi's face these days is almost an obligation. Now it's like everything counts. If you're not able to go see him, at least you can come take a picture. Artist Arlix Campos was the first to paint a Messi mural in this area. It was crazy. We had press in Arabic, Japanese, Mandarin, Italian, French, English, and Spanish. And now another artist, Maxi Bañasco, is creating a massive mural of the star. He hopes Messi comes sees it one day, but for now, he'll settle for another massive star, David Beckham. While we went up and talked, I told him how I was going to do the final design, and we were able to modify some things thanks to what we talked about. But the artwork didn't stop there. It made its way to the table. Birra Bar in North Miami Beach created the Messi Burger. Argentinian meat, hot et gras cheese, bacon, and mayo churri, a mayo chimichurri sauce. With that, we threw this product at the pitch as a tribute to the best. But food just wasn't enough, so the company Prison Pals created a beer. We designed this beer that is an emulation of the Inter Miami uniform with a number 10 and obviously, GO. The city is wearing pink, hopeful they'll get to see the legend Messi tonight. From Fort Lauderdale, reporting for Caplin News, I'm Tanya Jimenez.
The prices of gas and grain just got a little more expensive, and Caplin's Amanda Gray reports on how foreign affairs are impacting costs at home.
As the war in Ukraine continues, Moscow has announced that it will no longer allow Ukraine to safely export grain. Ukraine typically accounts for 10% of the world's wheat exports. The export deal allowed Ukrainian cargo ships to pass safely along a corridor in the Black Sea. Russia's decision to quit the pact has already caused the price in global markets to rise.
Today's decision by the Russian Federation will strike a blow to people in need everywhere.
I hope that every country is watching this.
And these prices might hit home. Americans may begin feeling a strain on their wallet as Russia and its allies are working this week to up prices on food and gasoline. Economists are warning that these steps may worsen inflation.
I think it'll drive inflation higher, particularly in those very volatile food and energy categories.
Meanwhile, AAA says that within the last 2 weeks, gas prices have been rising. This is due to reduced oil production from Saudi Arabia. And now, tensions with Iran are furthering the issue.
It threatens U.S. and global interests quite a bit.
The Pentagon says it's taking action to defend merchant ships in the critical strait, which it claims are being harassed and attacked by Iran.
Particularly oil. So much of that flows through the Strait of Hormuz. That's a choke point for the Middle East that has global trade implications.
The increasing cost of food and gas is signaling a raise in interest rates this month and possibly next month as well. Reporting for Caplin News, I'm Amanda Gray.
A rare tornado that tore through over 15 miles of North Carolina is having far-reaching implications on the medical industry. Today, one of the largest facilities in the world for manufacturing sterile injectable drugs is in ruins after a 150-mile-per-hour tornado crashed into a Pfizer facility. The site supplied more than a quarter of all IV medications used in U.S. hospitals and now risks potential damages that can have lasting consequences on domestic and global health systems.
I'm really afraid that some patients will get suboptimal care and there may be an increase in lives lost.
With over 300 drugs currently in short supply, physicians fear this event will make shortages worse, but advise patients to seek help from care providers to find alternatives.
Shakira faces second investigation for alleged tax fraud in Spain, this time from 2018. The charges announced yesterday in Spain, already awaiting trial for an alleged tax fraud case that was made in 2021 from her time spent living in Spain from 2012 through 2014. Officials say that the amount of time she spent there annually would make her eligible to pay taxes. Shakira, who is focusing on her career and her art, living peacefully in Miami now, denies any wrongdoing.
Courses in capitalism are popping up in Cuba. Caplin's Aiden Chacon reports how Cuban business owners are getting some economic advice.
The people of Cuba are learning to improve as self-employed entrepreneurs inside a country where it was against the law to employ yourself for decades. Thanks to the U.S. Embassy in Cuba's capital of Havana, over 200 Cubans have reported to a meeting room inside a hotel for multiple business seminars in what the U.S. Embassy calls an entrepreneur boot camp. Some Cuban entrepreneurs are against the boot camps because they say the U.S. government lifting the many economic sanctions that they have on Cuba would benefit Cuban business owners much more than a few seminars. Once upon a time, it seemed unrealistic and unfathomable to see capitalist business seminars in Cuba, especially after private enterprise was made illegal in Cuba after the revolution in 1959. But in 2023, a Cuban American by the name of Gustavo Arnevat, a development expert who fled Cuba as a young boy, returns to the state in order to teach these business seminars.
What they need is they need capital, they need an idea, they need persistence, they need to really work through very difficult times. Every entrepreneur is going to have good days and bad days. Some bad days are going to be extremely challenging. They probably want to, give up. Again, no different than any other country, but here's particularly difficult.
The difficulty stems from how long it was illegal to pursue your own business ventures on the island and how it's still impossible to access the U.S. banking system on the island. It wasn't until the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 that self-employment restrictions started to loosen. The Biden administration is currently learning whether some of the economic sanctions that directly make it difficult for Cuban businesses to thrive can be lifted or not, according to the top diplomat of the United States Embassy, Benjamin Ziff.
There's a shortage of food, there's a shortage of gas, there's a shortage of water. The Cuban state economy is no longer able to provide for its people. And the answer to that is not a necessary evil private sector. It is more, better, more empowered private sector.
The U.S. Embassy has continued the boot camp with the hopes of easing almost 60 years of tension between the two neighboring states and completely changing the individual lives of people across the entire island of Cuba. Reporting for Caplin News, I'm Aiden Chacon.
The Barbie movie was released last night and it has already affected the world of business. As Cole Higgins reports, major retailers have already turned pink.
The business of Barbie is hot pink. This summer's blockbuster Barbie movie has retailers and brands rushing to cash in on the nostalgia.
I'd say the world has turned pink. It's an incredibly important milestone for the brand.
Retailers are hoping cautious consumers will dip into their discretionary spending to buy Barbie-themed merch. More than 100 eager companies, including Aldo, Gap, and Crocs, have signed deals with Mattel, the maker of the iconic doll, to create and sell Barbie-themed clothing, shoes, accessories, and countless other products, including the doll herself.
I think I had 24. And they were gone within, I'd say within 48 hours.
In New York City, Bloomingdale's flagship store, a pop-up shop looking more like Barbie's dream house. Meanwhile, Mattel is also hoping the new film will give Barbie sales a boost after sales in the first quarter of this year fell 22% compared to the same quarter last year.
We anticipate that this is going to be an unlock moment of huge monetization potential for the Barbie brand.
It comes as higher grocery prices have impacted consumer spending. Retailers are hoping the pink craze this summer can chase away the inflation blues. Experts say it gives retailers a creative opportunity to lure in frugal shoppers into their store and convince them to spend their cash.
I've seen, more diversity, like in terms of dolls in general. So I would say there's an effort.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Cole Higgins.
In Maryland, a concerned citizen tired of speeding on his street took matters into his own hands. WUSA reporter Casey Nolan has more on the story.
For some, McComas Ave is just a shortcut on their commute.
They're doing 40, 50 miles an hour down the strip.
For Matthew Fairbank,
someone actually came down the strip and came into the retaining wall at one point.
It's home.
My wife's car has lost 3 mirrors already. I know people down the street down there. You can see the traffic cones by the cars down there. His car's been hit a couple times.
People in this Kensington neighborhood say they've complained to Montgomery County for years about the speeds on this street. And while there is a plan to remake it with speed bumps and bike lanes, that's still years away. People here say it seemed like there was nothing they could do to slow the speeding.
That's when someone decided to get creative and craft a solution.
I have no idea who put it there, but I thought it was hilarious.
Built to resemble an actual speed camera, complete with authentic-looking signs, someone installed a little library ready to read speeders their rights. And it seemed to work.
And actually observed people slowing down for the first time since the 3 years I've been here.
But then Fairbanks says the county got involved, took down the signs, and said the library could not be on the easement and couldn't be in a yard without a permit. Montgomery County Police says this spot is not an approved location for a speed camera, not even a fake one. But MCPD says it is always evaluating where new cameras could go.
It's a little disappointing.
While the library's builder has yet to come forward, Fairbanks says he and another neighbor took it down to comply with the county and says they'll keep it safe in case it ever finds a home.
I think it was to bring awareness, and it did seem to work initially.
Graduation is just days away. Will it be really rainy or really hot?
Chris's 7-day forecast is still ahead, and so is this story.
Start with the federal student loan program and maximize the federal loan before you go outside of the program.
For those who aren't graduating just yet, the rising cost of tuition is a concern. Tips from experts after the break. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantori here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family and remember any pets in your planning. Be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depressing stuff. That's what white people think. You all right?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
CWX.
not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
Worse can the heat actually get? Well, NASA came out with new predictions this morning for 2024. And if you don't like the heat we've been seeing, then brace yourself. According to these predictions released yesterday, the heat next year will be higher than this year, as NASA's report says the national El Nino weather cycle will start to take effect. More on the weather now from Caplin's Christopher Gomez.
Hey there, I'm Caplin News' Christopher Gomez here with a check of your forecast. I want to get us started right now as we are tracking the tropics right now.
Right, why is it?
Maps coming up. This from the National Weather Service. We really don't have anything all that much interesting. Dawn over here is just meandering out on the Atlantic, and that system does have a 40 to 50% chance of development, but not really a threat to South Florida anytime soon. Right now, we are under excessive heat warning down here from Miami-Dade, Broward, and Monroe counties. Basically, we're expecting feels-like temperatures to hit into almost 110s, but those real temperatures are a little misleading, right? We're into the 80s. And then across the country right now, there's a lot of places that are feeling this extreme heat. Down here in the southeast, basically the southern portion of the country, you can see Los Angeles, those 90s are going to be in the highs. In Houston, look at that, 90 to 80. Now let's take a look at your 7-day forecast. And you can see here that we are expecting some showers into the weekend. They're going to be mostly in the afternoon. Temperatures are going to be in the 90, 91, and wind speeds really not going to help too much, only 9 or 10 degrees. As we move on later into the week, we're still going to have those storms, but hopefully they do simmer down just a little bit. They're going to be more isolated into the afternoon, and we're not expecting anything too severe, about a 40-50% chance of rain. That's a check of your forecast. I'll be back in just a few minutes with a final look at your weather.
Students are struggling to keep up with rising tuition costs.
As Caplin's Jennifer Rivas reports what's going on behind the scenes.
California State University students are stressing out about a proposed increase in tuition.
It means I rarely can afford food and gas. I typically, for me, I don't get financial aid.
It's part of a nationwide trend between 1980 and 2020. The average price of tuition, fees, rooms, and board for an undergraduate degree increased by 169%, according to a report from the Georgetown University Center on Education and the Workforce. That rise far outpaces wage increase in the same time period.
It's really a problem that incomes are not rising more rapidly, not only because of college, but because of all of the other things that families and households need to buy.
Experts point to some key factors on what is driving up the cost: increasing faculty salaries, increasing competition at top schools, and decreasing state fundings.
It's a perfect storm for families where the tuition has been growing, grant aid has been lowering, and they are being asked to make up the difference.
For anyone aiming to pursue higher education, Michelle Shepard with the Institute for College Access and Success suggests always looking at federal aid and scholarships programs first.
And then if you do need to turn to loans, which most students likely will, start with the federal student loan program and maximize the federal loan before you go outside of the program.
For Caplin News, I'm Jennifer Rivas.
The Women's World Cup is underway and some trouble is following right behind it.
That's still ahead, and so is this story.
I think you always want to bring the greatest players. Does it always happen? No. For us, it's happened.
A big day for sports fans as Inter Miami have a chance to play their new major signings. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantori here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family and remember any pets in your planning. Be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's what white people think. You all right?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere. Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
you're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
And now, SFMN Sports with Kenneth Bueno.
Some big soccer stars are getting back together, and there is a chance we'll see them link up tonight. Good morning, I'm Kenneth Bueno with sports. Inter Miami is building a dream team and is ready to play their first game tonight with Lionel Messi and Sergio Busquets. But as Tani Jimenez reports live from Drive Pink Stadium in Fort Lauderdale, there are more legends to come. Good morning, Tanya.
We came up with the idea. You know, our dream with this club was always to bring the greatest players in. As owners, I think, as owners of a sports team, I think you always want to bring the greatest players. Does it always happen? No. For us, it's happened.
Soccer legend Lionel Messi attended his first official practice session on Tuesday with his new club Inter Miami, alongside his former Barcelona teammate and former captain of the Spanish national soccer team, Sergio Busquets. He is also set to play minutes tonight in his highly anticipated first game. Yesterday afternoon, Inter Miami confirmed the official signing of Jordi Alba, the current captain of the Spanish national soccer team and yet another former teammate of the Spanish club Barcelona. He too brings years of experience and an eagerness to win.
I think at the end of the day, patience is what we've needed through this whole process. You know, even when we started this club, you know, we've been through ups and downs and pandemics and things that have happened. So there's always been obstacles, but we've always been up for the challenge. You know, even the presentation at the weekend again was a challenge. You know, we arrived here and was like, of course this is happening. But you know, the moment that Leo went on TV and announced in the way he should announce that he was coming to Miami, that was an emotional moment.
Fans hope to see Messi get some time on the pitch tonight against Cruz Azul in the League's Cup match at 8 p.m. From Fort Lauderdale, for Caplin News, I'm Tani Jimenez.
Amidst all the excitement for the pageantry of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand, concerns are building as one of soccer's biggest tournaments kicks off. It began Thursday morning, shortly before the opening game of the tournament between co-host country New Zealand and Norway, when a witness called police to report a shooting in central Auckland. 2 people died and 6 others were injured, creating a wave of wariness across the country.
It's with deep sorrow that I can confirm that 2 people have been killed. At this stage, I'm aware that 6 others have been injured, including police.
Also plaguing the Women's World Cup this year are injuries. Many of the sports stars, such as Netherlands striker Viviane Miedema, will sit out after ACL tears. The list also includes England's Leah Williamson, Beth Mead, and Canada's Janine Becky, a former Olympic gold medalist.
It is difficult because I don't think it's ever been as bad before in the women's game. I think you see it more in men's football as well recently, probably also with an increase of the games. But yeah, we should have started this research about 20 years ago, and we would have probably been able to prevent that right now.
FIFA says it will hold a medical workshop to discuss remote injury spotting and surveillance with all member associations in response to Miedema's concerns.
I don't think they understand how much of a physical and mental impact the game has on players. And I think we don't understand that sometimes it's about protection of players instead of getting the money in or making it entertainment. Like in the end, we're all people.
The Miami Marlins are looking to get out of their cold streak tonight after losing their last 6 games. The Fish finally come home in nearly 2 weeks, which should give the Marlins the advantage with a 30-18 record when they play at Lone Depot Park. Miami also has the 3rd best team batting average in the entire league at a collective 265, mostly thanks to Luis Arias. So there's still a lot of hope for the Fish when they play the Colorado Rockies this evening at 6:40 p.m. You're watching Newsbreak How on Land. We'll return in a moment.
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking, let's go. You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign, not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a 4th ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
I help our fellows design their paths as creative entrepreneurs. My experiences serving startups, creative businesses, and cultural organizations, and my journey as a queer mixed immigrant with Haitian and Arabic roots, inform the co-creative environment we foster at Radcliffe. We leverage our collective diversity to encourage the building of lifelong personal learning networks and mindsets that stimulate continuous innovation.
And that's all the time we have for a Newsbreak. I'm Leanne Aboutalbour.
I'm Hawa Ezel. Get more news anytime at caplinnews.fiu.edu.